Being sealed with many people, that's the end. But for Diablo von Bear, the dark grand sorcerer who almost defeated a god, it was just the beginning of a new chapter. He has been given a chance to be reborn in this life, and he goes by the name Jamie Welton, the eldest son of the noble Welton Count family, and also the official heir of the kingdom of Chelam. From the moment he opened his eyes in the form of a baby, the first thing Jamie felt was not hatred, but boundless love from his parents. For the past 9 years he has lived as a true noble youth, with a life that is full warm and leisurely, even being praised by the servants as affectionate. But behind that sweet smile, Diablo is still Diablo, the one who is burning with the fire of revenge, vowing to make the 12 angels live in misery. Jamie's family life is indeed blissfully suffocating. The scene in the dining room is warm and happy as usual. Jamie has to act innocent to blend in with the atmosphere. Laughter echoes throughout the room. His younger sister looks very happy to enjoy the delicious food. This energetic girl is Jamie's mother, the only daughter of the great Bell family, Siaz Bell. His father is one of the 5 supreme swordsmen in the kingdom of Akeno Welton. Although he always maintains an impressive title to Jamie, Akeno is always crazy about his wife and children. Finally, there is Sarah Welton, the second daughter of the Welton Count family. It seems that his current life looks very happy and leisurely. However, for Jamie it is extremely annoying. Just one meal with the family is enough to drain his vitality because Jamie will never get used to their affectionate treatment. However, compared to the beginning, it is much better now. And one thing to mention is that currently Jamie is terribly weak, but he is okay with that. Coming to a new opportunity, the 12 gods Jamie hates to the core still exist, and they are still exploiting the flock. Although this is all his power, because dark magic does not exist in this era, but it doesn't matter. Jamie firmly believes that time will eventually be on his side. The fire of revenge from here gradually burns more fiercely. And first of all, he must still play the role of a well-behaved teenager. Every time he has to act like that, Jamie wishes he was sealed again. With his younger sister, he has been waiting in the hall ready to listen to a story. Jamie puts on a cute look, wondering who will read a story today. Both his mother and sister immediately hug him lovingly, and today's book is The Sage Hainest Sias, which begins to be read. The story soon comes to an end, and she asks her 2 children if they enjoyed it. A twinkle appears in Jamie's eyes. Indeed, he has acted quite well. Hearing Jamie say he wants to become a great sorcerer like Hainest Sias reminds him that he has defeated 3 of his magic teachers, so he can definitely do it. Along with that, she reveals that Dad said he would find him the greatest sorcerer. On the outside, Jamie smiles happily, thinking that it is very good. Seeing Jamie getting ready to leave, Sias guesses he is heading to the library. Before he leaves, she energetically wants to give him a hug. Jamie is truly tired of this scene, but still has to indulge his mother's wishes. Both continuously praise him for being adorable, making Jamie desperate, silently screaming. A while later, he finishes reading the book in the private library. This is the only remaining book about mana, but it seems not very useful. Approaching mealtime, Jamie stands up, preparing to head to the dining room. Just as he steps out of the door, he encounters a stranger. This old man seems to be a grand sorcerer invited by his father. Jamie pays no attention to the old man's words, but focuses on the abundant mana clearly visible through his body like a violent storm. But Jamie is sure this person is at least a level 7 sorcerer. Many doubts arise in his mind, wondering why he could come here without anyone guiding him. Then Jamie decides to ask directly. But at that moment he, like Jamie, is focused on observing and is certain that he is a genius. Jamie also immediately realizes that he is assessing his abilities. His hands begin to change. Jamie silently vows to attack as soon as he lets his guard down. On the other hand, the old man cannot help but marvel at the amount of mana and the actions of this 9-year-old boy wanting to personally verify Jamie's abilities. He activates his mana. A dramatic contest is about to unfold. Right at this moment, Jamie gently releases a stream of spell. It is slowly flying toward Lin Meo. A beautiful blue power ray shines like a glimmer. Looking at the chaos before him, Jamie feels a bit helpless. It is not functioning as he thought. However, what surprises him even more is that his spellcasting has no effect at all. But on the other side, Lin Meo is also having his eyes opened. Damn, this is amazing. Is this really magic that a 9-year-old child can achieve? So the old man gathers his strength. Not bad, now it's my turn. Therefore Jamie silently curses inwardly. He really doesn't care, damn it. Lin Meo's power is flowing now, and Jamie has noticed, but he can confidently assert that his magic cannot harm him. There is no reason for him to defend against it. Suddenly Jamie's eyes widen, which surprises Lin Meo. This kid doesn't even blink. As the situation becomes tense, Akeno rushes in and shouts angrily, "You are going too far." Yes, then he turns to Jamie and asks, "Are you okay?" Jamie replies dazedly, "Yes." As he realizes the situation, he whines, "Just a little okay." Akeno worries the boy is really shocked. The blood rises in him, leading him to challenge. We should have a small talk, Marquis Lin Meo. So these tricks are seen through by the opponent. The boy is trying to act shy in front of his father. The old man bursts out laughing. Ha 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 ha, really surprising. This is truly interesting. Lin Meo cannot stop his laughter. I, the Count, am very jealous. Meanwhile, Akeno is in a state of panic. He has unreasonably attacked someone else's child. After a while, Akeno and Lin Meo have sat properly on the sofa, the cup of tea in Akeno's hand. He cannot control his tone. The boy is my son and also the heir of the Welton family. Yet he only receives Lin Meo's leisurely response. I understand Akeno's mood falling into gloom. As he just said, he understands Lin Meo has to remind, calm down. With such a murderous aura, what else is there to say? Indeed a great swordsman. Then the old man asks, how much do you know about your son? Keeps his rude attitude continuing about something, so Lin Meo has to clarify the talent of your son. But Akeno has a reason to question, that's why I entrusted the boy to you, but you attacked him for no reason. Silently guessing, damn, he definitely has a grudge against my boy. Lin Meo says, it seems you really don't know anything. I will act as if I have not received your request. This statement from him leaves Akeno confused. What do you mean, Siro? No matter what, Akeno's impression of this person is very bad. Marquis Lin Meo, among the current sorcerers, he is known as the strongest level 8 Grand Sorcerer. Level 8 Grand Sorcerer Marquis, he does not acknowledge the abilities of his son. This makes Akeno raise a question. Could it be that Jamie is not as talented as I thought? Just by looking at his face, Lin Meo can guess his mood. Everything you are thinking is wrong. Akeno begins to lose patience. Marquis, please clarify. Unexpectedly, Lin Meo reveals the shocking reason. I do not accept your son because he is not good enough for me to teach him. Akeno suddenly falls into confusion. If an 8th level sorcerer cannot, then who can? And then he states, your son can read all my spells. Akeno can't believe his ears. What? He begins to reason, no way, even if the boy is truly talented to that extent. Then Lin Meo confirms, and the boy has surely assured that my magic cannot touch him. The old man recalls Jamie's face during the earlier battle. I was very surprised that the boy was not flustered in front of my magic. Next, Lin Meo shares further. Moreover, your son has also trained himself to a level 3 sorcerer. If it weren't for his weak body, he would definitely be a level 4 sorcerer. And he can assert genius is not a monster. A monster will produce a child without anyone teaching him. From there, Lin Meo proposes a solution. You just need to support him and he will perfect himself. Perhaps this is the birth of a legendary level 9 sorcerer. After hearing this, Akeno is silent for a long time, his hand resting on the chair, unconsciously clenched. Akeno still does not dare to believe the information he has just received. My son can become a legendary level 9 sorcerer. And now Lin Meo also nods earnestly. I apologize for attacking your son, for I know this will cause chaos in this land, no, in the world. Lin Meo states, this will be very interesting. Meanwhile, Akeno is deep in thought. He looks up at the ceiling with many questions in his mind. In the large castle, someone sighs. Jamie, feeling bored, leans against the wall. This is really... He's not happy, complaining, tiring. His mother has heard about what that old man has done. Memories of Sias emerge. Jamie, are you okay? Oh no. You were really scared, right? Mom will scold him. She promises to give him a good lesson. Jamie wonders how long he has been stuck there. He places an item down on the table. However, reflecting back makes Jamie feel a bit less tense. This time I have seen a real magic, because he believes that if it existed in that era, that magic would surely be quite powerful. However, what Jamie cares about most is more than anything my father, Count Akeno Welton. This man makes him feel like he has the whole world. I know my father is very strong, but I didn't expect him to be that strong. He truly fits to be my father. Lin Meo suddenly appears and asks, is there something fun? As soon as he sees the old man, Jamie's life seems to fall into darkness. Moreover, Lin Meo also asks, what do you think about not being able to recognize that someone is here? Jamie's scream echoes throughout the castle. Ah! He collapses to the ground. What are you doing here? Lin Meo laughs loudly. Haha, you really are still a child when you are surprised like that. But Jamie still cannot stop wondering, how did you get into my room? Now he reveals, I teleported in. Jamie feels extremely disappointed. It seems my father did nothing to you. In deep pain, I knew he was not an ordinary old man, but just think about how he could teleport so easily. Lin Meo begins to interrogate. You act childish in front of your father. Do you have that attitude in front of me? Hearing this, Jamie's attitude becomes rude. Do you see family and strangers as the same? And yet Lin Meo can still laugh. Ha 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 ha, you are really interesting. He says some strange words. It's really unfortunate if I'm a little stronger. But Jamie cannot stop despising he is indeed a weird old man. That's why he kept staring at me when we first met. Suddenly Lin Meo takes out a book. Here Jamie is a bit surprised, a magic book. And so he wonders, why are you giving me the book? Then Lin Meo criticizes, your magic is outdated. Jamie silently curses, damn it! He avoids the old man's gaze. My magic is outdated, it's really humiliating. But Lin Meo thinks he is touched by the gift. As he bends down revealing, this book contains spells I created. You will be the first to see it. Jamie silently repeats magic. So he is curious, I will read this book that contains magic from a high-level sorcerer. He also mentioned that my magic is outdated. Then Lin Meo exclaims, I am much more serious, this time I have high hopes for you. In fact, Lin Meo is also looking forward to it. Jamie wonders, how will you be at the next meeting? And after reading through the book, Jamie is excited. Clearly, perhaps this will be better than I thought. Let's see how wonderful the book is. He summarizes from what he knows. Absorbing mana is a technique of breathing through the mouth, and absorbing mana into the heart, it is the most effective way known. But the fact that there is a limit to it is a major condition. Jamie reads intently. He said my technique is outdated, so I had some expectations for his technique. He stares at the book without blinking. It's really quite interesting. After a while, Jamie folds it, but finds it hard to do. We must feel each mana particle. He has a plan for himself and interacts with them to be able to absorb through the skin. We must do it very accurately. Thinking of something makes Jamie marvel. How many people can do that? The old technique cannot be replaced, and I can meet both conditions. He smiles brightly. But I am Diablo. Immediately afterward, he jumps up from the bed, BB happily taking the book. You have given me quite a few good things, old man. Now he assures himself, I will definitely do everything. So BB snaps his fingers to summon. I need your help. His familiar immediately appears. B. It perches on Jamie's shoulder and calls out repeatedly, BB. Then he commands, break the mana. Break! Closing his giant eye, then it opens wide. Jamie compares every detail. The first condition, break the mana into smaller particles for easier absorption through the skin. He thinks this has a disadvantage that we must adjust the appropriate size and position. Looking at the pet before him, Jamie feels relieved. Fortunately, I have Black. Then he shouts, all right, let's get started. If Black has made a soul bond with me, it will break the mana. Having completed the first condition, the second condition is not a problem. My body means that if it is limited in the amount of mana that the heart can absorb, I just need to store mana in other places on my body, which means I have no limits. The next morning at the mansion outside, the nurse and Akeno stand in front of Jamie's room. She awkwardly stands behind while he looks in astonishment. Sir, inside the room, Jamie is sitting on the floor meditating. He looks at his son sitting next to the nurse with some worry. The young master, he looks at the stream of energy flowing in his body. His mana is flowing around. Akeno's expression is filled with unmistakable astonishment. I knew the Marquis had guided the boy a little, but this is really amazing. Then he thinks of the boy's appearance like a gentle squirrel by the acorn. When did my child have this innate talent? Then next he turns to the nurse and instructs, let him be, but let a few servants stay here. She responds, yes, sir. Count Akeno turns and leaves the nurse, clasping her hands in worry. I hope the young master will be okay. He walks slowly, his mind still lost in thought. So he is a sorcerer, not a swordsman, must be inherited from his maternal side. His body stiffens, still not believing the truth. Even so, it's still too high level. Finally he smiles, mumbling with confidence. A level 9 sorcerer, he will definitely make it. That day at the mansion the sky is clear, he closes his eyes, energy spots surrounding him. Then suddenly opening his eyes now, Jamie stands up, clenched fists cheering, I did it! The step of separating the mana elements is quite difficult as it is very complex. But if 1-0 can work, then 10 times must work. Anyway, he stands there, feeling the energy flowing through his body, marveling, I think I have reached a level 4 sorcerer. Thinking of this, Jamie also exhales. Mom is so annoying, I was almost level 5. Suddenly Black appears above him, calling out repeatedly, B, B, B. Also raises his head to reply, I have no intention of altering this body because it is too weak. Then it slides down his shoulder, examining, yay. He also rubs it, smiling happily. Confirmed, I will not rush anymore. It's okay, and I have succeeded once. It seems a bit startled. He adds, so the second time will be easy. Immediately afterward, he points his finger, reading the incantation invisibility. Black's body also fades. Also, it looks at him in confusion. Jamie raises his head to remind it, I'm going to meet father, so hide your mana well because I don't want him to know about you. He turns around, leaning on his hand, smiling at it, praising, oh, I almost didn't notice you. He smiles, excitedly declaring, I have planned, how could he detect you? Then he quickly turns on his heels and leaves. All right, let's go. Jamie's back leaves with dense black magic. Greg still flies around above his head. In Akeno's room, he looks at the people from the Janus cult. He seems very busy. What wind brings you here? Then he clasps his hands, smiling amiably. I came here to visit you. My lord, his face is full of deceit, squinting his eyes. I know that there has never been a precedent for religion. I want to thank you for allowing our Janus cult. Hearing this, he also smiles back. I think it will be a great encouragement for the people here, so I allowed it. The face of the Janus cult member is wrinkled, full of confusion. What do you mean? Akeno does not hesitate, slowly explaining. Since I always want to give the best, I will make Janus the largest cult starting from my territory. He also understands, he is telling me who is in charge here. The expression on the Janus cult member's face darkens, frowning silently, evaluating, he is warning me. Even I have heard the rumors about him, but it seems quite tense. Then he also clasps his hands full of calmness. Well, you must be busy, so let's stop here. The Janus cult members cooperate. Yes, sir. Akeno stands up, smiling brightly, instructing, go home safely. He also stands up, bowing in flattery. Wish you always good luck. Then he leaves. Akeno still smiles, but soon his face darkens. In the corridor, Jamie stands tucked into a corner, observing the Janus cult members leaving. He grits his teeth, peeking out nervously. I knew it! Then he sinks into thought. The logo on his hood, a crescent moon in the middle, is a golden cross. And what he has been saying, the questions keep repeating. Then why? His face is filled with disgust and anger. Why does my dare to be right here, Janus? Thinking of this, Jamie worries non-stop and bites his thumb. Why did father allow his cult into this area? Why does it have to be Janus? His nails are bitten off in anger. I cannot let this happen. I must take action. But now I only have one choice left. He stands still in this corridor of the mansion. Since this cult operates in the Count's territory, the only way is to ask the Count to drive them out. He silently decides, I must meet father first, then I will start investigating. Immediately, Jamie stands in front of Akeno's room, announcing, Father, it's me, Jamie. He enters, sitting on a chair next to him with tea and snacks. This is the tea room of the Welton family. He looks at Jamie excitedly. All right, have you succeeded? He happily replies, yes. Seeing his expression, Akeno also interlocks his fingers, concluding, you must really like magic, right? His voice has a bit of a whiny tone. Yes, I like it a lot. Suddenly he becomes quiet. Jamie is also confused, what his gaze is full of exploration. Remembering that boy, he is a very talented person. Then Akeno closes his eyes. But the life of a genius is the hardest in this world. When a genius child grows up, everyone will be jealous of him. Later, when he has grown up, those people will attack him fiercely. He thinks of the scrutinizing eyes directed at Jamie, hesitating. I wonder if that is good for Jamie. His hand rests on the chair and then tightens, his eyes containing hesitation. I will probe Jamie. If you feel that the path of magic is too hard, you can give it up. But I will always support you to the fullest. Jamie also smiles brightly in response. Don't worry, father. Seeing him still cheerful, he also closes his eyes contentedly. That's my son. Akeno's gaze looks at the flow in his body, unable to help but marvel. But this is mana from a 9-year-old child. Seeing that he is also somewhat startled, I felt a pile of mana from the boy's body and he is still absorbing more. Wait, his eyes widen, immersed in shock. What the fuck? Isn't mana only able to be contained in the heart and has a certain limit? But then Akeno looks at him inquiringly. Jamie, the magic book that Marquilin Meo gave you yesterday, have you mastered it? He smiles calmly, yes, silently thinking, not only that, but I have made it even better. Hearing that he is even more astonished, Marquis, what have you just created? The room becomes silent in Akeno's astonishment. How can a child do this in just one day? Does the boy in your eyes, Jamie's body, glow with potential? Someone who has the ability to become a legendary level 9 sorcerer? At this point, he also closes his eyes, laughing at his own thoughts. Ha 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 ha, compared to my own child, my talent is not even 1/10 of it. He could become a level 9 sorcerer. He looks at him with confusion. What's wrong, father? Akeno is full of excitement, smiling at him. I am so proud of you. Today, I feel so proud of you. He still sits on the chair, smiling gently while he stands up, approaching. His hand places on Jamie's head, giving it a rub. He also smiles back, In fact, his face and mind express boundless disdain for this head patting. Ugh, don't pat my head anymore. Suddenly he points at Black, who is invisibly on top of Jamie's head. But that is the essence of my spirit. It seems to spin around full of confusion. B? He also awkwardly turns around. Did you see it, Father? His gaze is full of panic and suspicion. What the fuck? I'm sure I made Black invisible. And Father can still see Black. He smiles happily. His hand gestures describing a bat. Oh no, it's a bit round for a bat. Very cute. It's about this big, right? Jamie feels confused inside. How strong is Father? Then he sadly closes his eyes, silently thinking, don't tell me he has discovered that I used dark magic to summon it. Then he explains to him, I made it look like a baby bat without letting Father know because I was afraid he would be too surprised. Hearing that, Akeno suddenly rushes over and hugs him tightly, making him gasp. He excitedly shouts, there's no way you created it. Of course I was very surprised, but I was surprised at your ability. Oh, look at this, my son is a genius. I am very proud of you, my son. I am proud to be your father. And after that he leaves the room, his face looking drained of life. Blame Mom. Why is this house so troublesome? That night in a dark building, crowded with people, Jamie wraps his cloak tightly over his head, whispering, Brag! And above his head it is transforming into wings, grabbing him and flying swiftly. His gaze is filled with caution, confirming, I will definitely find out the reason they are here. Let's go. His body sprouts wings, thanks to Black flying high in the sky, surveying the surroundings of the city. In an alley, two men are talking to each other. The chubby one asks, What did he say? The purple-haired one replies, He said to just follow the plan if you still want to live. Hearing this, he curses, Damn it. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Philip closes his eyes, clasps his hands to pray. I don't even know what we are doing. He is part of the Levan crime organization. On the other side, Jans is also nervously looking back, shouting, Don't you see? He is sacrificing half of this organization just for his benefit, and he is part of the Levan crime organization. Jans then stands up full of anger, questioning, The SS is a place that allows organizations like ours to operate as long as we don't go overboard. But human trafficking is different. It will mess up this place. On the other hand, Philip remains calm, lowering his head. If we are lucky, we might escape. Next to him, Jans vehemently opposes, That's just what you think. You think we can escape? At that moment, he also anxiously asks, Do you know Count Welton loves children and his own child? If he knows we are trafficking children right in his territory, then what? They think of the knife and the cold demeanor Akeno has for them. At that time we will eat the cage instead of a meal. Philip stubbornly insists, but he is sure that we will not be discovered. Jans's voice trembles. Hesitant does he think we can escape from a master swordsman. And he explains Hanni's people said they would do that. He crosses his arms. Hanni will definitely do everything to become involved. On this side, Philip still sits there doubtful. So what now? Do you want to run away or continue playing? Jan seriously makes a decision. I will run. The underworld law is that when the responsibility for a case is assigned to someone involved, they are prohibited from doing anything to them. Philip remains calm, looking up. Just confirming now we have to find a way to escape. He sits on the ground, crossing his arms. Do you have a plan yet? Even though this place is very spacious, the organization will definitely hunt us down. He sits on a wooden crate. Let's just give it a try. At least we try. Dying is better than just standing still and dying. Jans doubts, is there really no other choice? He replies, I think we have to try to know. He shouts angrily without noticing someone watching from the corner of the wall. And which bastard suddenly wants to traffic people here? Assesses someone has definitely contacted the boss. After all, he is quite famous. Although I don't know what the reason is. His eyes look at them coldly. At that moment the two men realize, looking back. Jans stammers, shouting, And you also step towards them? Who are you? He approaches, his face cold, smiling. The cloak covers half my face, close to each word, asking, Interesting, who am I? Jans's hand unconsciously tightens. If you don't want to say. He swings his fist up, gritting his teeth and rushing towards him. Then die, you bastard! Philip also grabs a knife and rushes in. Suddenly Jamie disappears, leaving them stunned and confused. The two look around, cautiously shouting, Where did he go? Where is he? Why does this seem like Itachi's magic? And suddenly from behind his voice echoes ominously, What are you talking about? That sounds so interesting. He lowers himself from above in front of the two men. Dark magic radiates around. His hand stretches out, pulling a lightning bolt while smiling, I want to hear about it. After that, both are struck down to kneel before Jamie. He sits on a wooden crate. They tremble. That's what happened. The eyes of the two are filled with confusion. After hearing this, he also looks at them with resignation, silently thinking, You let go of someone. Above all, that is what my father despises the most. His gaze looks at them on the ground with disdain. The brain is used for thinking, not for display. These lives without NaSOL provide for Omo. He grits his teeth angrily, cursing inwardly. It's truly annoying. Those angels have given me a headache, and now these guys too. And these fools think so short-sighted. His eyebrows furrow, sinking into thought. What did their boss eat to suddenly accept that offer? Don't they know what kind of person their father is? He murmurs, I have a bad feeling about this. Next, Jamie stands up, his hand placed on Jance's head, activating magic. The two men widen their eyes, hypnotized. He commands, go to the Duke's office and reveal everything. They respond in unison, yes, sir. Immediately after they stand up together, his eyes coldly watching, perhaps tomorrow morning will be fun. They leave, leaving him behind. After finishing his task, he turns to leave. Black, let's go home. Black creates wings on his back with dark magic. Suddenly a person is knocked toward him. Jamie is a bit shocked, turning to look. It is Philip, who is knocked to grit his teeth, his body pinned tightly against the wall behind him. Blood spills on the ground. Jazz is also knocked down. They lay collapsed, and he looks on in confusion. A voice makes him startle. Ha 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 ha, fools. The crowd is coming. He looks at them. Hey, you spoke too loudly. The guards arrive, cuff each one. Now his eyes are cold. Where did that madman come from? His hands also cast dark magic, angry. Does he dare to do such a thing? Then Jamie raises his hand. A large circle of dark magic appears behind him. He swings his hand towards the two men, energy shining down on them with urgency. I have helped you live a bit longer. Go and complete your mission. And their bodies gradually heal due to the magic. The leader of the group laughs while smugly approaching. Oh, look who it is. Bring those guys here and I will handle this one. He is Bakwehani, a crime organization leader. He looks at Jamie, healing the two men while questioning, how do you want to die? Hearing this, Jamie glances back at him. Ah, he's wrong. His henchmen move in to take the two men away. Pull those two here, I will deal with them. Philip wheezes, tears flow, trembling. Help. And he still stands quietly watching them being dragged away. His eyes are filled with cold anger, almost widening. That bastard! He quickly struck a blow to the head that left Jamie stunned. And he shouted, ha ha ha, what do you want to say? Die, he shouted while continuously attacking him. Die. D. Then he laughed gleefully, shouting, Uchiha! I like this, saying that his hand waved up, his tongue sticking out in a filthy manner. Let me hear the cries of despair of the original. His body was burned to ashes, lying in a sunken area. The guy following looked on in worry. Sir, are you sure? Hearing that, Hani also looked back in anger. What are you talking about? But I'm sure I killed him. He stood behind him, smiling and whispering, which frightened him. Is that all you have? That guy turned around, gritting his teeth, while Jamie disappeared again. He stood in front of him. Are you having fun? He was startled. What? Yet his gaze was cold, smiling at him. With a wave of my hand, I want to ask if it's fun to kill your own subordinate. His eyes widened, immersed in astonishment. What kind of cage is he? Why hasn't he died? Hani looked at the streams of dark magic surrounding his body in confusion. And what is that dark energy? He moved closer to him, the energy radiating more strongly, his voice filled with ominousness. I don't understand why you behave like a girl on her period while you are just a third-rate magician. He turned his head in surprise, then gritted his teeth and cursed. You bastard, I will kill you. Right after that he summoned a fire column, shooting straight at Jamie. He shouted, third-level magic spell, fire burst. It's mind, he thought, although it can't compare to the skill of my idol Meguman. He glared and concluded, however, it's more than enough to burn him to ashes. Cursing, you little bastard. A flash of light appeared. Suddenly he froze. Dark magic spread towards him. He sighed. The young ones really haven't experienced life. Hani looked in surprise. Huh? He sneered. You think you can win against your father? Hurry up, son. His hand reached out. Invisible strings clung to him. Jamie smiled gleefully. And that's why your father loves to show off his expertise to pathetic losers like you. Over here he collapsed to the ground, then his head also fell down. His body toppled over. The henchman saw the dark magic around, and the guy fall down and panicked. He took him down so easily. They were in panic. Run, monster. His hand calmly reached out to two. Blame yourself for encountering Riot's balance system. Dark magic spread to one guy's face. He looked on in horror. His hand clenched, shouted. Immediately that guy spat blood, screaming in pain. Jamie looked at him, smiling and saying, all right. He also moved toward Hani, lying on the ground. All right. I grab his head, then smile. My slave, remember to answer all the questions I intend to ask you. His eyes were filled with confusion, drool dripping from his mouth. Yes, master. And in reality he grabbed Hani's head, lifted it up. He trembled and replied, Master! You kids! He coldly looked at him, sigh. The story sounds just like the one earlier, really just wasting time. Deep down he thought, I can also tell my dad about this human trafficking issue. Then Jamie released his hand from his head. The guy also lay down on the ground. So what should this guy do now? He thought even if Navi wins the Gambit due to Navi shooting better, this Gambit fan won't accept the result and die. He lay there unconscious. He fell into thought. Because he is a third-rate magician, I would usually turn him into a corpse. But even so, with a sinful soul, he would soon rot away. And the issue of that corpse's appearance too. He thought of Honey in the form of a corpse, ugly and painful, cursing inwardly, looking ugly as hell. Thinking of this, he also smiled, deciding, that's it, I guess I have to issue an ultimatum. Then he smiled wickedly, muttering, since he is a third-rate magician, he must have a lot of mana. After that he reached out his hand towards Honey's face. Behind him the energy of a magic circle radiated. His eyes widened, his palm glowing, incantation, then bon appetit. In the dark alley his body was steaming. He stood there looking down, praising, not bad like Gordon Ramsay, saying that Demi wiped the corners of his mouth. Sigh, although there are too many impurities in it, well, as long as there's food, forget it. Now he turned to Philip and Jans, who were watching him behind. So what will you do? He moved closer. Their eyes were blankly looking at him. Although I have resurrected them for a while, it won't last long. Behind him appeared a stream of dark magic energy. Then it coalesced. Black appeared with an innocent eye. Demi's eyes were cold, waving his hand. A flash of lightning burst forth, his palm also shining. And you all still have work to do, so how can you all die? He thought of the mannequin's body in the darkness being bound. The summoning spell is a type of magic used to resurrect the dead. Although it is called resurrection, it is not actually that, because after being resurrected from the summoning spell, they are just empty shells. Because this is the resurrection of the dead, it goes against the natural law, reincarnation, and divine will. The source of energy shone in front of Philip and Jans. They looked at him blankly. Jamie commanded, you all, although you have died at this moment, you are not dead. From now on you will be my loyal slaves. The energy radiated more strongly. He looked at them, reminding, you will get to live again. And then calling Black, it also radiates dark magic energy. Black helped me a bit. Above it continually poured energy down. He shifted the lightning energy towards the other two. Jamie's eyes lit up, purple energy gradually surged. Let's start reject death and rise. Philip's body, due to contact with the energy, swelled up. Next to him he also frowned, cursing inwardly, damn, this guy is still in the realm of spirits. His eyes shone brighter purple. Dark magic enveloped them, urging, you all wake up. You will be resurrected. Jans's eye sockets continuously leaked tears, wide-eyed in pain. Philip was not better, his eyes wide open, crying. He frowned, his face veins bulging, urging, you all rise up. Suddenly Philip raised his head, shouting loudly. Next to him, Jans, also dazed, drooling, eyes rolling back. Above, Black kept pouring energy down. The ritual gradually came to an end. He looked down at them. Both of them knelt like knights before him, full of respect, their bodies radiating dark magic. Sir, is there anything? His face darkened, sensing something ominous. What the fuck? Something is definitely wrong here. He looked around, the other two were also staring at him. Jamie cursed. How the hell is there still dark energy here? Did I miss a step? On the other side, Black also landed on his head, explaining, Bibi. And seeing it complain, he felt a bit awkward, explaining, what did I say? I didn't say anything to you. Then he gently held it in his palm, full of affection. You did perfectly, so don't worry. It nodded in response. His face turned dark, filled with disappointment, stretching Black's cheeks. John pretending to blame, I think I'm the fool. I know I might fade, but thinking about it is frustrating. Cried out in dissatisfaction, Bibi. It was pulled by him, spinning around. His mind was still muttering, although I usually don't rely on my level achievements, it's just a pity everything has disappeared. On his mouth then it was dizzy, Bibi. After that he walked over to the two still kneeling on the ground. Well, I can't use them like this. Or should I donate them to artist Huailin? Now Jamie closed his eyes, standing there a bit hesitantly. If they keep radiating dark energy like this, they won't be able to say anything. On the other side, Black shook his head vigorously in objection. Then it rushed over, biting his cheek. He saw that and also got angry, jumping up, throwing it far away. Damn! Are you a girl or something to suddenly bite my neck? Breck cried out helplessly. Then it jumped onto Jan's head, looking down, shouting. Right after that, it sucked away the remaining dark magic from his body. He was surprised to see that, oh, so you can do that. Black held a mouthful of energy, proudly raising its head. Immediately it operated at full power, sucking in energy. After that he looked at Philip and Jan, still respectfully kneeling. Now I don't need to donate this to Huailin anymore. He turned his head to look at Black, who had collapsed to the ground, gloomy. He bent down, patting its big body because of its energy, praising, Black amazing. Good job, kid! Next, he turned to the other two, excited, now I should name you. He urged, "Wake up, you named Jans." Hearing the voice, Jans also opened his eyes to look up. He called again, "You named Philip." Razor, every call of Jamie echoed. He smiled, radiating dark magic around his body. "Wake up! Rise, wake up, you little bastards!" The other two also looked at him startled. Jamie reached out his hand towards them. Dark magic began to weave out. They sat there silently looking at him. Jans and Philip both looked on in confusion. Next he glared at them, announcing, "Congratulations, you have answered the 150,000 question of who wants to be a millionaire." Over here Philip looked on in fear, sweat pouring down. Who is this? He looks only about 9 or 10 years old, and the mana he radiates is terrifying. In front of them his face looked like a demon, dark magic radiating around, very frightening. He is just like the thing I read in fairy tales. The God-Slayer should not exist. His eyes widened, full of shock. The guy whose mere presence can turn Trandukbo from a human into a cat. Yeah, that's right. Jamie glared coldly, smiling. What's going on? Yet he raised his voice, the energy radiating stronger. Glancing threateningly. Do I look like the teacher when giving back homework? Philip was scared. After that he clenched his fist, shouting loudly, "I don't know if you are a god or a demon, but I don't feel like you are a human." He saw that, and was a bit surprised, inwardly exclaiming, "Interesting." His attitude was not the gaze of a slave looking at his master. He pointed at something, concluding, "Maybe I didn't cast the spell correctly earlier." Then he lowered his hand. "Forget it." Philip's head also followed his finger and buried down to the ground. He stared, wide-eyed, full of astonishment, his body trembling, wheezing. Jamie's cold gaze reminded, "I'll let you go this time. Next time you act like that, I won't let it go." There he looked at them, smiling, announcing, "You only have one task: to survey the Jannis church and gather information from it." They bowed full of respect in unison. "Yes, sir." He added, "And one more thing." And Jamie looked at them. "Interrogate and bring back someone who knows about human trafficking. I need that person to do a few tasks." Both also bowed their heads in unison. "Yes, sir." Then Philip raised his head, but he had disappeared. He raised his head, sighed. He is gone. Well, next to him, Jans was no exception. Phew! They looked at each other, silent. Well, Jans hesitantly suggested, "Shall we go?" Philip's brother also stepped forward, confirming, "Yeah, let's quickly follow his orders." On the other side, Breck stared at him, continuously complaining. He walked while explaining, "While it still flies," after advising, "They will be fine. I have tied them very tightly, so they will have to obey my orders." He glanced at Breck beside him, adding, "And so father will handle the human trafficking incident." But it bit his cheek and shouted, I cannot let this continue. I will destroy it one day soon." Behind a foot rushed towards him urgently, he mumbled, without noticing the shadow rushing toward him. "Move forward today and tomorrow." A person bumped straight into him, causing Jamie to clench his teeth in surprise. He fell backward, crying out in pain. He also turned back in confusion. "What the hell? Something hit me." His face was full of anger, looking at the person, shouting loudly, "Are you blind?" After clearly seeing it was a boy who was also scared, covered in dirt, lying on the ground, he softened his tone. "A kid!" He was also angry, standing up, pointing his finger at Jamie's face, shouting, "You are also a kid." At that moment he remembered in the boy's anger, mumbling, "Yeah, right, I'm only 9 years old." He stood up, concluding, "I will let you go this time. From now on, remember to watch where you're going." Then he turned to leave, ignoring the kid sitting on the ground. The boy behind frowned, mumbling in dissatisfaction. "Looking like an adult while he doesn't even have any grey hair on his head." Suddenly Black bit his head, causing him to jump. He held him back. The boy also looked on in confusion. He turned back. "What is this?" Tempep looked at him with anger. "What?" And Jamie's eyes widened in confusion. "Black, don't tell me you did that because he mocked your color." He widened his eyes in astonishment. In that guy's mind, he dared to block his master's path. In his consciousness, where did it learn that Black's voice rang out, "You better watch your mouth, kid. That's right, if you don't want to die." He widened his eyes, sensing the amount of magic power radiating around. Over there, Tenpep also panicked, closing his eyes, rushing away. I'm sorry," seeing that he got angry. Are you satisfied now?" And it happily shouted, "Bibi." He urged in the dark of the city, "Now go home, hurry up." Upon returning to the mansion, Beck's face was full of awkwardness, not daring to look straight. Bibi Jimmy sat cross-legged on the bed, angrily questioning, "Do you know what you did wrong?" It sat dejectedly on the ground. Seeing this, he became even angrier. "I will not let you out of the hook if you do that again." It awkwardly flailed its wings, explaining. He looked confused, seriously. Where did he learn those things? Finally he collapsed onto the bed, burying his face into the blanket. "I'm exhausted. I used more strength than I thought." Next he turned over. "I will be busier than ever. I will live a carefree life from now on. That is my life, and in my journey the God will appear. And all of that is the final God, the symbol in the crescent moon and the cross." Janice, his hand unconsciously clenched. Then Jamie propped his hand on his forehead in despair. Bring it back as you want, no matter how many believers I have. His gaze emitted a cold purple light. I will chase them all away. In a lit alley, a voice called, Where is the elder brother? Ricky saw Jans also shout in astonishment, Jans, you are alive! He questioned, I ask, where is your elder brother? Face of that guy was full of fear and trembling. Did Hani say he killed you? Are you all still alive? Ricky thought to himself. Don't say he was defeated by those who couldn't even use energy. Suddenly a punch flew towards him, causing him to close his eyes in fear. Philip punched Passie's head, but his voice was full of threat. Bet I won't ask a second time. But he trembled, astonished. What the hell is this power? What happened to him? No more important. Next he looked at the crowd that usually gathered, concluding, I don't see the other members. They would be in an uproar if they see James returning. Ricky's face was full of fear, trying to raise his hands harmlessly. I guess everyone has been taken down. What should I do? First, I don't know where your brother is locked up. From behind someone approached, making him even more panicked. Really? Ricky was confused. Huh? Philip on this side coldly questioned. I ask you, is it true? And he stammered, smiling in astonishment. Of course you can ask anyone and they will answer like me. Hearing that, he also frowned in annoyance. Annoying. I need the leader here to carry out my master's orders. The leader must have received the report. Everything happening in the city, he probably knows something about the church. Janice suddenly. Ricky's voice became more threatening. His eyes widened, radiating red light near each word. 10 bet. Where do you think the master is? He also sensed the killing intent darkening his face in fear. I need to give him a reasonable answer or my head will roll. Ricky's body stiffened, hesitating. Because the master really likes women and alcohol, he must be at a bar or somewhere with those two. Hearing that, Jans also turned to look at Philip in agreement. He was right. Then let's go to the bar. Over here, Ricky also breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, I am saved. Suddenly, Jans swung a punch straight into his face. He collapsed to the ground. Are you suggesting going after the one that master wants to bring back? Shouldn't we choose this guy? Next, he looked around, wondering, but where should we keep him? Or should we tie him in the forest? Philip stepped forward, kicking him a few times. Not bad, but why don't we lock him in our warehouse? After that, he turned his head, urging, let's go, we have wasted too much time. But behind Jans and Ricky followed along. Yes, sir. In another place, the door was opened. That person saw the group inside, lying on the ground in panic. 10 Pep entered. What is this? He looked around where the corpses lay scattered in blood. What just happened? He bit his lip in fear. Everyone is dead, leave. Next, his brow furrowed, sinking into thought. I think I was defeated because I didn't meet the quota yesterday, but no one here could defeat me. Right after that, 10 Pep turned around and ran out the door. I will escape from here before everyone misunderstands. And the next morning, Jamie woke up on the large bed, sighing, Phew! I guess I was exhausted, so I woke up. He raised his head, I guess, then sighed again. I won't escape today. He walked down the hall with Breck on his shoulder. Then he stopped to explain to it. Dark beast, I will cancel the summoning order because my father can sense your presence. It happily flew around. When he opened the door at the dining table were Aheno and Sarah. Parents, did you sleep well? He smiled brightly, leaning on his hand, looking at him. Good morning, Jamie. His sister was also excited. Brother Sarah slept very well last night. Just seeing them, he also wondered without noticing the chair opposite where a lock of hair was moving. But where is Mom? She quickly dove in, shouting, Your mom is right here. Jamie was also startled. Mom. Right after that, he looked up and smiled cutely. Where did you hide, Mom? I didn't even recognize you, she exclaimed. Really? His eyes glanced away, forcing a smile, knowing full well even though he knew where Mom was hiding. Then she looked at him with a smile, patting Demi's head. Little one, are you scared? He replied excitedly, Yes, but it's very happy that I caught Mom. She saw him respond and was also excited, clasping her hands. My dear, you are so kind. Mom. Jamie awkwardly changed the topic. Mom, we should eat now. She quickly approached, rubbing against his face. You are so adorable. Deep down he screamed, Someone stop them! Right after that, everyone sat down at the dining table. Zeus looked at Sarah excitedly. Sarah, let's eat. She pounced on the little girl, rubbing against her cheek. My dear Bee, he looked at them a bit regretfully. I also want to pinch the little girl's cheeks. Thinking that, he also slammed his face down on the dining table, making Sarah jump. He screamed inwardly, Soft as hell, what am I thinking? Isis also agreed. Yes, tomorrow has come. And next to him, Jamie and his sister looked over in confusion. Is something happening tomorrow? He stared wide-eyed at him in surprise. Oh, didn't I tell you guys? Over here, Sarah also turned her head away and shouted in dissatisfaction, I forgot because the sun made me too worried. On hearing that, he felt a bit awkward, recalling his mana circulation ability. Oh, she means the breathing incident, possibly. With Mom's personality, she must have endured a lot. He lowered his head dejectedly. I'm sorry. She seriously looked at him. Mom knows your son is fine, so she is okay, but if you continue to push yourself like that day... He looked on helplessly from behind. I will never do that again. He raised his head in confusion. So what is happening tomorrow? Hearing that, Zeus also ran to the chair excitedly. Ho ho! He thought of his father and that red-haired person. Most nobles living in the north of the Selam Empire must attend. Currently she was very excited, running towards the two. You both have never attended a ball, but you have reached the age to participate in such places. Mom is too excited. Sarah clung to his clothes next to him, also realized that it means her precious free time is about to disappear. That night at the huge mansion, he stood in the room already wearing a cloak. Black then appeared behind him making wings. Jamie stood in front of the window preparing to fly off to visit those two. It also responded, because the two of you are going to some alley. He touched down on the road. A door opened inside Philip, and Jans were sitting also standing up, looking towards the door. Master, you have arrived. He stepped forward, removing his hat, looking at them. Indeed, have you done what I asked? Philip's expression seemed a bit guilty, hesitating, looking at him. We're sorry we haven't found any information about the Zenith Church. That church was just established not long ago. He understood inwardly. Yeah, maybe even a member of Levan would find it hard to get information in just one day. Then he asked further, What about the other matter? Philip replied, It's here, sir. Over there, Ricky was tied up on the ground, his face full of fear, continuously shouting. What does he realize? The Welton family found out. The three stood in front of him. Philip introduced, he is a member of Levan. He knew we would be killed by Honey. He confirmed, so he is an internal member. Next to him, Jans denied, but he doesn't know anything. He instructed them, I will interrogate him. His eyes were filled with determination, removing the cloth binding his mouth. Over there, Ricky's mouth was also unbound. Immediately his face turned dark, panicking. He shouted, Please spare me! His voice was gloomy, like it came from hell. Little Ricky, the wide-eyed frozen in horror. What is this chilling feeling? He moved closer, dark magic swirling around, demanding, I don't intend to kill you. After that he cried out in fear and sobbed, I will do it. So please spare my life. He reminded in a near voice, You are too noisy. Then stood in front of him, You just need to do one thing. Ricky lowered his head, confused, inwardly. Why suddenly my voice isn't making any sound? His hand reached out to his head, his eyes radiating a cold purple. His palm touched his head, glowing dark magic spread around. He ordered, Immediately go to the Count and report what your organization has done. Right after that, Ricky stood up like a puppet. He staggered towards the door. Jans and Philip also looked on. He looked toward that direction with Breck on his shoulder, reminding, Don't pity him. The two looked at him, confirming, Yes, sir. Next to him, suddenly Black touched his cheek, saying something. He widened his eyes in surprise. Aren't you going to ask me why today? Over here, Philip and Jans also bowed their heads, confirming, The master's orders are absolute. And he looked at them very seriously. Yes, you are right. When deep down he thought, Father will definitely eliminate Livan, while the existence of these two neglected will no longer be significant. Saying that, he turned his head, looking at them, adding, I will be absent for a few days. When his figure moved through the night of the city, suddenly Philip ran after, calling back, Master. He turned back, looking at them confused. What is it? His expression was full of panic, grabbing the shirt on his chest, looking at him. What have we turned into? He also realized he knew they were corpses because they couldn't return anymore, so he accepted it. He didn't want to return to the previous state. He was satisfied with this power. The hand gripping Philip's shirt tightened. But I need to know what kind of creature I am now. And seeing him still approaching, he also turned to look over. What exactly are you curious about? He asked suspiciously. Our powers have skyrocketed compared to when we were alive. Then he asked cautiously, Could it be that we've become high-level immortals? He stared wide-eyed, astonished. Pfft! Seeing him laugh, he also looked confused, stammering, Sorry, did I ask something stupid? He smiled pleasantly, pointing and explaining, No, I'm just amused. He still smiled harmlessly, sinking into thought. In my life, I have never seen anything like this. Jimmy thought of the stitched-up zombies crawling on the ground in pools of blood. Normally, they would refuse to accept their condition because they have lost their humanity and become monsters. But these guys are completely the opposite. He looked at Philip and Jans, who were talking to each other. Maybe I have picked up a gem here. He looked at them, explaining, You are just zombies. Black was also excited, but who knows? The two heard that their eyes lit up with excitement. He turned away. I'm leaving Hyde. Well, behind them they replied in unison, Yes, sir. Please return safely. Next to him, Black suddenly whispered to Jamie, "BB." He also replied, "Don't say they are pathetic." After that he returned to the mansion. "But I have spent too much time here," quickly return. That night a major upheaval occurred in the Welton house. A member of Liverpool, a major crime organization originating from his accused his organization. The three counts had to postpone their departure to resolve the entire issue. Therefore only the three of us went to Regan, the largest trading city in the east. He sat in the carriage sinking into thought. I could get there immediately by teleportation. On the other side, Sius was holding Sarah asleep. Usually they would refuse to accept their state, because they have lost their humanity and turned into monsters. But these guys are completely different. He looked at Philip and Jans talking to each other. "Maybe I found some gems here." He looked at them explaining, "You are just zombies. However, your appearance has been maintained as it was before you died. After becoming zombies, your strength has surpassed that of ordinary people." On the other side, Philip lowered his head, having anticipated it, but still feeling a bit shaken. Shivering. "I understand, just a regular zombie." He smiled and turned away. Black was also excited, but who knows? Depending on what you do, you could become a high-level zombie. The other two, hearing this, had bright eyes full of excitement. He turned away. "I'm off, Hidewell." Behind them they all said in unison, "Yes, master. Please come back safely." Next to him, Black suddenly whispered to Jamie, "BB." He replied, "Don't say they are pathetic. I actually find them very interesting. They also remind me of that guy from my past life." Then he returned to the mansion. "But I've spent too much time here. Let's go back quickly." That night a major disturbance occurred in the Welton house. A member of Liverpool, the large crime organization originating from his, had accused his organization. The Marquis had to postpone the departure time to resolve the entire issue. Therefore only the three of us went to Regan, the largest trading city in the east. He sat in the carriage, lost in thought. I could get there instantly by teleportation. On the other side, Sius was holding Sarah asleep. Things must have improved compared to before. He smiled with satisfaction. They have made so much progress to the point that it cannot be compared to the legendary era. The problem is I have no idea how long I have been dead. Events of the era after I died have been rewritten in history. The Demon King and his demons waged a frenzied war. The Demon Clan invaded, and the Demon King also descended to the present. Jamie sat cross-legged on the palanquin, closing his eyes, lost in thought. Of course, peace had lasted for several hundred years without any such incidents occurring. Perhaps I am the creature that ended that peace. Then he radiated dark magic, stating, 12 foolish gods, it's been so long, and they still haven't formed an alliance. I'll find it easier to defeat them than last time. Countless lives were lost then, but it wasn't my concern. On the other side, Sarah was awakened by his energy mumbling. He was startled at first, then withdrew the dark magic and adjusted his mana. The girl was sleeping soundly again. He thought of the Empire City and that he must safely get through this ball first. Then the carriage quickly approached the city gate. Inside, houses were packed, closely busy markets and magnificent castles. Jamie peeked out from the carriage door, unable to help but blush and exclaim, "Regan is indeed an amazing place." Sius still calmly smiled. "After all, it is the largest trading street in the kingdom. You won't find a place better than Regan, for the tremendous flow of money in the economy across this continent. It's wonderful, isn't it?" He also exclaimed, "Wow, terrifying." Then he stood silently at the carriage door, lost in thought. "I've heard that Regan is the biggest factor that helped the Selam kingdom become rich and powerful. I guess this is undeniable evidence." Next, they stood in front of a building in the city. "Now we have arrived." He smiled excitedly, thinking about meeting Count Simon. His heart was racing. She looked at him with a bit of surprise. Soon after, Sius rushed over and hugged Jamie tightly. "My dear son, you were worried, weren't you?" That startled him too. "Why?" And she excitedly shouted, "And you were screaming in despair. Your heart is beating so fast, it's so cute." "All right, mother, we'll hold your hand." After that, Sius calmed down and explained, "Count Simon is someone that my son values because you aspire to be a wizard." Seeing his face was unsightly drooling, he replied, "She stuffed you in the middle, hugging your shoulders, praising Marquis Lin Mio. Count Simon is very skilled. He is a great wizard who reached level 7 at about your father's age. He is one of the 2 leaders of the Eastern Noble Group, along with your father, and is also the Lord of Regan." Meanwhile, his sister was also brightening up. Next, Sius thought of the lotus flowers in the pond stained with blood, and compared, "His magic is like a red lotus, just like his nickname, the Red Lotus Wizard. It is said to have taken thousands of lives." Hearing this, Jamie curiously looked up and asked, "What kind of person is the Count?" She recalled, He has a somewhat eerie face. He has blood-red hair. He was terrified. Huh? What inside?" Jamie was also lost in thought. Red Lotus Wizard level 7. I don't care much for those things, but that power took thousands of lives with just one blow. I'm curious about the kind of magic that can do that. Their carriage entered the estate's gate. He resolved in his heart, I want to have a conversation with him. The conversation with Marquis Limun was still vague because it was too short. I wonder what it would be like to talk to Count Simon. Over here, Shoes got off the carriage, gently lifting her skirt. Come on, children, follow me. Take your time. He also immediately followed behind. Yes. Up ahead, the butler was already waiting, bowing respectfully as he looked at them. This must be the lady of Count Welton. She looked at him and replied, Yes, it's me. Around them was the stream of people coming and going. The butler suggested, I will lead you into the estate. They were led to an empty room brightly lit by hanging lights. The butler looked at them and announced, You can wait here until the ball starts. If there are any issues, please call the butler. After that, Sius looked around complimenting, Count Simon is very considerate. He smiled in reply, Yes, ma'am. The butler opened another room looking at him. Young master, please use this room. He looked at this action with implicit goodwill. He's really kind. To be given a private room like my parents, at this age, I haven't even thought about that. Up ahead, Sius turned back and instructed, Come back right after you finish arranging your luggage. He also confirmed, Yes. After a few minutes, the group of maids dressed and changed clothes for Sius. They couldn't stop praising, Your hair is so soft. Oh my, you look so beautiful. Over here he saw her and couldn't help but exclaim, making her a bit embarrassed. Wow, his eyes sparkled staring at her and complimenting, Mom, you're really beautiful. Next she excitedly teased back, Heh, my son thinks I look magnificent, right? And Jamie was also excited to compliment her, Shoes, clap your hands and cheer, this is so much fun. Soon after she ran over her face, drooling as she looked at him. Today you also look very handsome. I want to hug him. Behind the maid reminded, Madam, please restrain yourself. You will ruin the makeup. Hearing that she was also stunned, tears welling up, pleading, Just once. I just want to hug him once. But the maid was very determined. No, you will wrinkle that dress. He sighed in relief, thank goodness. Next, Sarah also stepped out in a pink dress. The maid announced, The young lady is also ready. But seeing the girl, Sius also cheered, My daughter is so cute. He beside her also blushed, complimenting, Oh, Sarah, you look so pretty like a doll. The girl raised her hands to cover her face, asking back, Really, brother? He approached, propping his hands, leaning down to look at her, affirming, Yes, very lovely. But it doesn't seem comfortable, does it? Please bear with it a bit. Sarah cheered, Yes. The maid reminded, Young master should also prepare a bit. We will leave soon. After that, the three quickly finished preparing and headed to the banquet hall. Inside, the party was lively. Jamie looked around, evaluating a ballroom of nobles, usually as extravagant as this. Why are Sius and Sarah also looking around at the estate of the Simon family? The banquet hall, he wondered. Does Count Simon usually show off like this? They sat down at a table. She confirmed, From EP you will be surprised to see him. On the other side, the ladies and gentlemen approached to greet amicably. Lady Welton, it's been a long time. Oh my, you still look as beautiful as ever. Look at that dress. Like expected from the mistress of the Welton family, this is a cloak made from cotton from our land. I prepared it for you so you can wear it in winter. His mother also replied elegantly, Thank you for your concern. Jamie sat to the side, resting his arm on the chair, looking bored. They were trying to ingratiate themselves with the Welton family. I've seen this scene many times before. Throughout the mythological period, things weren't even recorded in history. He thought of the fanatical group with the thorned moon symbol and the cross, with some foolish people wanting to flatter the gods. Then Jamie closed his eyes, turning his head away in gloom. Disgusting. Thank goodness my mother is good at dealing with people like that. Suddenly the host stood on the podium and cleared his throat. Ahem, can everyone hear me? After that voice, everyone looked in that direction. The person in charge on stage introduced the honored guests attending the ball hosted by the Simon family. It is my honor to welcome everyone. I am Rain Benor, and I am responsible for managing this land of Rigan. The chatter arose non-stop. Turiwan smiled and announced, The ball will start soon. Everyone please pay your designated seats and warmly welcome Count Simon and his family. They will enter right now. He raised his hand, pointing to the other person. Over here, a person with red hair and cold eyes approached. He saw that he was also somewhat shaken, standing up. Count Leighton muttering, It's been a long time. And down below, James swallowed, staring at the face of the man looking sleepy. Welcome to the ball. I hope everyone will be comfortable here. And Jamie shouted excitedly in his heart, a level 7. Inside the noisy party, he stared at the stage, sinking into nonsensical thoughts. He must be somewhere on par with Marquis Limon, or perhaps slightly above. Suddenly he approached him. Red Lotus Wizard. Demi smiled excitedly. He thought to himself, he exceeded my expectations, how interesting. Over here, Count Lee Hitter and his family stood behind, bowing to greet. Siegfried is sitting on the chair. It's been a long time since we met. Lady Welton, you look even more beautiful than last year. She was also startled and turned her head. Then stood up, lifting her skirt, bowing, still smiling. Don't mind me, I'm also relieved to see you both healthy. After that he looked around a bit disappointed. By the way, hasn't Count Welton come this time? She confirmed, no, he will come tonight. There are some urgent matters in our territory. Saying that, Count Leighton glanced at Jamie. I understand. And this is your son? He also looked up. Yes, my son Jamie Welton. And beside him Sarah also lifted her skirt, smiling. And I am Sarah. Hello, Lady Simon saw this and also blushed in admiration. Oh, the children are so lovely. Sius also replied immediately. Thank you, they are smart children. She smiled. Ho ho, one can tell. Over here Count Leicester glanced at him. The look in Count Leicester's eyes was openly scrutinizing. He also just raised his head, smiling back. He's examining every corner of my body, just looking naturally. Jamie's hands tightened, radiating energy. Yes. And he saw that and also smiled. Then excitedly said, Your name is Jamie. He frowned, smiling firmly. Yes. He squinted his eyes towards him with interest. We will meet again sometime. He looked back unreservedly. All right. Count Lee Hitter turned and left. Jamie's gaze was also filled with cunning and excitement, sinking into thought as he looked forward to Count Simon. He is beyond what I imagined. I can't wait for a conversation with him. In the banquet hall, Sius waved her hand in enjoyment. Let's go. Lady Simon also replied, Feel free. Over here, Alf turned back to look at him. He mumbled to himself, James Welton? Over there, Jamie looked at his mother, puzzled. When will father arrive? She also replied, He will probably be a bit late. Over here, the Leighton family also sat down at the table. Then Anne asked his father, What do you think of Count Welton's son, father? He wondered, Why are you so concerned about a 10-year-old kid? Hearing that his eyebrows furrowed, smiling mischievously, he may be immature now, but he will become the leader of the Welton family in the future. It's not a bad idea to get to know him beforehand since we're of the same generation, right? Count Lee Hitter's gaze was scrutinizing. Remember, I heard recently that he has been playing the leader with other noble children. Right after that he raised his head. It seems he is trying to seek my recognition. That's useless. However, going along a bit won't hurt. He concluded he is an innocent child. Hearing that, Anne's face also filled with excitement. Anything else, father? And he spoke to the servant. Bring out the appetizers. And they also replied, Yes, my lord. Over here the entire dining table was silent. Lady Simon placed her hand on her son's hand, advising, But he shows a rather indifferent attitude. You should be friendly with them. Our two families have been allies for a long time. But right after that she smiled obediently. Of course, dear mother. You don't have to worry. Seeing that she also smiled satisfactorily, very good. Then turned back to the servant. Give me another appetizer. His expression darkened, filled with anger, grimacing. In my heart, I'm sorry, dear mother. Among the crowd, ALF's eyes stared intently at Jamie, showing no intention of befriending that lowly person. He imagined Jamie kneeling on the ground, his body covered in blood. I will make him kneel at my feet. Suddenly a hand grabbed his shoulder, startling Anne. In that way, behind Count Lee, Hitter leaned down, smiling, whispering in his ear, No wonder you are my son. Elf's face turned red as he looked back. I will make my father accept me. He smiled proudly. Lenong beside him also glanced over at him, smiling, as if realizing something interesting. Inside the party, still full of noise, his friend C.S. leaned on his hands, asking Han behind. Sarah awkwardly stood next to her mother's dress. Have you made any friends yet? He replied, Yes, mother. And after that she turned and left. He waved goodbye behind. After she left, his gaze became sharp, sinking into thought. Friend that duck target, I will enjoy my private time. You give me a wise way. I wonder if there is a quiet place around here. Jamie stood in the quiet courtyard of the estate. A glass garden appeared before him. He walked over, looking at the tea table inside, couldn't help but exclaim, Oh! Then he also moved towards the flower cages and the flowers surrounding the garden, marveling. It seems he has talents other than magic. Thinking about the possibility of nurturing his talents to such a high degree, he really looked forward to the conversation. Before he could finish his thought, someone interrupted from behind. Who are you talking to? His hand was alert, summoning a lightning bolt. Next he turned around, raising his hand, intending to throw it back. The arrow quickly shot out sharply, aimed straight at a girl. Her complexion turned pale, full of fear. Jamie was startled, then stopped his attack, glaring in that direction. Seeing her harmless, he also waved his hand to retract the arrow. Ash Valor trembled, sweat beading, sighing in relief. Then she teared up, shouting, How could you be so rude? He looked at her, also dissatisfied. Then why did you suddenly speak behind my back like that? The girl's face darkened, grinding her teeth, glaring at him. Reminder to do that to a young lady is impolite, you know, he replied. You should feel lucky because I didn't stab that young lady, was then coldly questioning, so who are you? Why are you behind me? Seeing that Ash Valer also looked at him excitedly, full of confidence. Me. You should know about me. Should I say or not, I really don't want to say anything, because you just hurt this little soul. Hearing that, Jamie also frowned, a hint of annoyance flashing. No way. She has completely hidden her presence behind me, making me uncomfortable. And that tone. He raised his voice. I'm not in the mood for jokes. Suddenly an arrow flew in like this, embedding right next to Jay's foot. She looked in shock. She stood still, watching the smoke seeping from the shot. He explained, that is gas ammo, a level 2 magic. Jamie's face frowned, losing patience, pointing, if you don't have strong enough defensive magic, it could pierce through you. I'm sure a girl like you would die immediately. Hearing that, Ash Valer was also shocked, shouting in her heart, what? Is he serious? Jamie flicked his hand again, extremely annoyed. So are you still not going to answer? The girl, terrified, ran away, her mouth constantly shouting, no, I will answer. Wait. He threatened quickly, get up, the more you do that, the more you make Asphalt confused. I am Asphalt. Asphalt is the family of the title Asphalt. She tightly closed her eyes, nervously replying, yes, I am the eldest daughter of the Viscount Valère and a spirit mage. Demi asked in a rush, a spirit mage, explain about your profession, girl. Spirit mage, it refers to a wizard who can communicate with the mystical spirit forces born in nature. There aren't many spirit mages on the continent, and their very existence is considered an extraordinary talent, and they can also receive the title of Baron. He doubted, but this girl is a spirit mage. Thinking about this, Jamie looked at her, evaluating. She also stared back at him. With spirit magic, I can approach from behind without making any sound. Even a spirit mage can hide from me while I'm at my best. Seeing him staring intently, Ash Valer was also a bit confused. He thought, but surprisingly she looks only about my age, yet she truly is a spirit mage. Normally I would start practicing harmonizing with nature at around 10 years old. But this girl must be a genius with innate harmonizing ability. If she starts formal training, she might even be able to communicate with the Spirit King. But seeing him not speak anymore, she urged with dissatisfaction, Hey, shouldn't you introduce yourself too? Who are you to dare use such dangerous magic? He awkwardly smiled. Me. With calculations in his mind, thinking that she asked him, after revealing her identity, it seems she has a personality and doesn't want to lose. Valer also frowned at his question. That's right, besides you, who else would I talk to here? Jimmy smiled confidently, introducing my name, James Welton, the heir of the Welton family. Nice to meet you, Ash Valer. Another thing related to the Viscount Valer is that upon hearing this, she also widened her eyes in surprise. They are loyal subordinates of Count Welton. On the other side, the leader of the child trafficking gang knelt on the ground, lying in a pool of blood, coughing violently. Opposite him, Akeno looked down from above. I left your gang alone because I thought it was really troublesome. I didn't care, and then your gang really operated very actively. He was in pain, tears streaming down, blood also flowing from his mouth. Akeno's voice was filled with death. Angry, yet you dare to organize human trafficking on my territory. His foot lifted his chin, causing him to cough even more violently. Akeno bowed his head, looking with disgust, gripping the sword tightly. Those are things you shouldn't do unless you're crazy or want to die. He stared at the gang leader, his face darkening. So, you want to die? I will grant your wish. He trembled fearfully, looking up. Please don't kill me. Next he turned and ordered, hang him tomorrow. The knights behind also looked at his back. Understood. Akeno's expression was determined, announcing, prepare the carriage. I will depart immediately. The people behind confirmed, yes, my lord, and the carriage quickly moved out of the estate. The chains of the prisoners were being pulled away. Above, a figure in a cloak looked down. He held a broken gem in his hand, mumbling, the plan failed. Prepare plan B. At the same time, in the garden where Jamie was, he walked. Ash Valer followed behind, his face filled with impatience, biting his lip. The girl behind still innocently followed. Then he also lost his patience and turned around, shouting, Hey, what the heck are you following me for? He glared at her. Even if your father is my father's servant, it has nothing to do with us. Hearing that, Ash Valer also teared up, lowering her face in concern. But you're angry, and stop that kind of talk. Next, Jamie impatiently shouted, I'm going home, so don't follow me. Suddenly she grabbed at his wrist. He tried to pull his hand away in dissatisfaction. Behind, she still held tightly to his wrist, pulling back. You're really complaining. Yet his eyes were both cold and angry, shouting, Why do you keep bothering me? Right after that, Ash Valer gathered her courage, tightly clenching her fist, shouted, This is the first time I meet someone my age, so I want to be friends with you. Hearing that Jamie was also stunned, the angry string in his heart panicking. What the friend? The two stood still looking at each other. The space became quiet. He was also confused. I didn't think the reason would be that. Demi's face went blank, looking in confusion. What does she want to be friends for? I can understand wanting to be my servant. After that he closed his eyes, sighed in frustration. Oh, I guess making friends is more important to a little girl? On the other side, Ash Valer teared up, looking at him. Jamie shouted in his heart, but it's none of my business. Then he turned around, uncomfortably shouting, find someone else. I don't need any friends. Behind, she stubbornly chased after, come on, James. She clenched her fist, shouting in dissatisfaction, so unreasonable. Just stop it. He ignored her, leaving, cursing in his heart. What the hell? She doesn't understand that friends and intimate relationships can drive a person crazy. And suddenly Jamie stopped looking at the nearby building. If only I could kill that emotion right from the egg. His face crumpled with anger, biting his lip. In my last life, I did not have to experience such things. His expression darkened again, gloomy. That damn girl. She makes me remember the bad things behind. Suddenly a voice called out, startling him. Jamie Welton. Elf and his cronies approached him, his eyes filled with cunning. He turned to look at them, recognizing the blood-red hair. He must be the son of Count Simon. He frowned, questioning, what did you call me? Elf was bewildered. Huh! The brown mushroom beside him frowned, full of contempt. Ha! You dare to speak so rudely in front of us? The one with the two-part hairstyle also pointed at him, shouting, do you know who he is? It's him. They chorused, while his face was full of arrogance, looking up, his mouth smiling with satisfaction. The eldest son and heir of the Simon family. He mumbled, so talkative. Then squinting his eyes, raising his hand to cover his mouth, smiling at them. Order silence! Right after that, the two quickly fell silent in shock. Aleph looked at them, trying to speak, but couldn't make a sound, a bit confused. His face was somewhat flustered, pointing at him, shouting, did you just put a silence spell on them? Over here, Jamie was still flicking his fingers, smiling harmlessly, complimenting, oh, you seem smarter than these monkeys. Hearing that, he also stepped back angry. The other two had already collapsed on the ground. This arrogant bastard doesn't know I'm older than you. Jamie remained calm, sneering, don't sweat the small stuff. Get straight to the point before I do the same to you. After that, he flicked his fingers. Elf beside him, also startled, looking alert. He cleared his throat, then awkwardly smiled, explaining to him, I didn't come to cause trouble, just wanted to chat a bit. But kid, that's impressive. You can even use it on me. And in that silence, his expression was cold, reminding, I don't think I need to hear your nonsense compliments anymore. And who did you just call a kid? Get lost. In his contempt, he was even more astonished. What? You don't know who I am? He explained further. Of course I know the son of Count Simon, right? He also smiled awkwardly, sweating. So you do know. I almost made a fool of myself. Well, since you are the son of Count Welton, why don't we chat for a bit? Over there the two cronies were still struggling to shout in vain. He explained to him, we only acted like that because you spoke a bit rudely, so don't misunderstand. He self-assessed, in his heart, smiling. If I didn't show my skills, they would probably ride on my head. After that he regained his composure and looked at him smugly, because you and I will be pillars of the Eastern nobility in the future. Don't you think getting to know each other from a young age would be better? He also calmly listened and understood. Going around in circles, in the end he just wants me to be the junior, right? It's really shameful for my former self to have to listen to such pathetic lines. Right after that he flatly refused and explained, I don't want that. I'm not interested in whatever it is you do. I don't even want to know what you're up to. You probably just want to say that, right? You can go now. Hearing that, and also flared up his face, turning red as he shouted, You dare to refuse me, you brat! You are making me angry with your half-baked magic. I will trample on it mercilessly. Next he waved his hand, summoning a magic staff, his face full of pride. Holding the magic staff, looking at him with a cunning smile, and you won't have any choice but to submit to me. He saw it calm, then smiled mockingly. Oh, his sharp gaze stared at him, speaking loudly. So you intended to use force from the beginning? But over there Anne was not afraid of the gun, still swinging the magic staff, laughing arrogantly. It's always a mother's cooking. I'll change the plan a bit because you used magic, but never mind, just do it as usual. Hearing that, his face also darkened, scoffing. At such a young age you are two-faced like this, making me want to vomit. He thought of both families and asked cautiously, So you think the adults will let you run wild? He looked at him, reminding, If something happens, it's all on you. He still swung the staff towards him, then grimaced. I don't need you to worry. As long as I have this, no one will see me. In his hand he held a large white gem. Saying that, Anne threw it underfoot, energy quickly radiating around, enveloping them. He looked at the magic barrier forming, also exclaiming, Magic barrier creation. But over there he also exclaimed, Indeed, a magic user like you would know this. with a proud expression shouting a challenge. Anyway, you will have to bow your head and beg for mercy soon. Nexon glanced at the other two. You all don't be quiet anymore. When suddenly they also managed to talk. The people standing in the barrier. The two who had their mouths locked by him complained, standing in front cursing, "That guy made us unable to speak. We thought we were dead." "Want to see naked chickens? You really aren't afraid of anyone just because you come from the Welton family, right?" they emphasized. And Jamie only saw this as child's play, looking around. "Hey, did you hear? There, we won't spare you." He sighed. The barrier is also good. Next he turned to look at them, complimenting his interesting here. Alf's face gradually filled with anger. "Interesting. But today your Welton family suddenly appears." Jamie chanted a spell, interrupting them in pain. The group stood frozen, receiving the energy from above, blood flowing from their noses in fear. He reminded them not to break the barrier, otherwise everyone would have to watch you suffer. Jamie raised his hand to his mouth, smiling deviously, dark magic radiating around. Inside the barrier, the people he knocked down on the ground screamed. They were crying and trembling. "Help me! Brother, my head feels like it's going to explode." Over here also, kneeling on the ground, vomiting uncontrollably. He was struggling, blood pouring from both his mouth and nose, his body trembling, filled with anger, unable to believe he was taken down by him so easily. "I will kill you, but I won't forgive you." But what to do? I am too weak. That brat is a level 4 wizard. Tears fell from his eyes in fear. Only now realizing I just barely stepped into level 2. How could this happen? He remembered Akeno's swordsmanship talent, unable to help but be both suspicious and astonished. Wasn't he born into a knight family? How could he be so proficient in magic when he comes from the Welton family, which is only specialized in swordsmanship? The question of powerless talent appeared in his mind. Tears continued to fall in humiliation and rage. He pressed his hands down on the grass, then stood up, whispering, "I will not forgive you." His eyes were filled with anger, his body trembling, shouting in his heart, "That's right, I cannot tolerate that talent. I will chop it up. I will make him never touch magic again." After being intimidated, An's group unwillingly searched for something to do. One person among them fearfully spoke up. "Big brother, are you sure this is really okay?" Stealing the magic tool, this idea was immediately rejected by An. "What's wrong with that? Shut up and follow me." While the group was preparing to continue their journey, a voice suddenly rang out, causing several people to turn in fear. "Big brother." As they turned around, the three of them saw a familiar face. Recognizing who it was, he couldn't help but be puzzled. "Reno, why are you here?" He asked like that. Lenong chuckled and teased. "What do you mean? How sad to hear that." Not beating around the bush anymore, he took out a shiny red badge. How can a younger brother sit still when he sees his older brother hurt? Seeing what his younger brother was holding, he couldn't hide his horror. "Where did you get something so dangerous?" In response to this question, Lenong smiled and changed the subject. "Does that matter? You should teach that brat from Welton a lesson. Oh, here, take this." After a moment of silence and thought for a moment, and quickly accepted the badge. Knowing where you got that is not important. The most important thing is to completely destroy that brat. That night, Akeno appeared at the Leighton Count's mansion. As he got out of the car, the Count immediately reached out to greet him. "Long time no see, Count Welton." The friendliness was reciprocated by Akeno with a bright smile. "Oh my, I didn't expect the Count to come meet me directly. Is the sun going to rise in the west tomorrow?" Akeno then shook hands with Lee Hitter, expressing friendliness. "Are you well? Not bad. Should we go inside?" Sitting in the office, the two began to ask each other a few things. Was the party successful? As usual, after the small talk, Count Lee Hitter got straight to the point. "In any case, I've met your son." Seeing him so straightforward, Akeno couldn't hide his curiosity and asked, "Really, what do you think of him?" Witnessing that interested demeanor, the other person smiled but did not answer. "Seeing you always answer so quickly, everyone knows that you and your children feel exposed." Akeno replied with a bright smile. "They are my reason for living." This joy left Count Lee Hitter unsure of what to say next. "I think it's very enviable that you can feel that way." Hearing these words, he began to suspect something. "Oh, is it still like that these days?" Asked like that, he glanced to the side, avoiding the question. After a moment of silence, Count Lee Hitter changed the subject. "By the way, your son is truly amazing." "No, not just that, I am completely surprised." Seeing the other person avoiding the topic, Akeno felt a bit worried and observed for a while, he had to admit. He wants to beat around the bush. Although he was dissatisfied, Akeno still smiled brightly and asked, "Does my son seem talented in your eyes?" And the Count noticed he didn't dig deeper. Count Lee Hitter smirked and replied, "Talent, that's putting it lightly." Pausing for a moment, he did not hesitate to express his thoughts. "The boy is the best from what I've seen. There has probably never been anyone as talented as him." In response to this praise, Akeno smiled with pride. Marquis Remo said the same. Hearing this name, the Count immediately paid attention. Has the Marquis met Jamie? Knowing he was probing, Akeno fiddled with his hands and honestly replied, I recognized Jamie's talent when he was little, but I never thought his talent would be so high. That's why I reached out to the Marquis. Mentioning this topic, he couldn't hide his annoyance. Because someone with such magical talent becomes a mage. That would benefit both themselves and the world. In contrast to Akeno, Count Lee Hitter was extremely excited. It must be great for the boy to have a teacher like that. Witnessing that demeanor, Akeno dropped a shocking piece of information. But the Marquis has declined this offer. While Count Lee Hitter was quite pleased, he pretended to be regretful and consoled. That's understandable. That kid is an unparalleled genius, and will be able to enlighten himself, then challenge himself to become a legend like a level 9 mage. After a while, Count Lee Hitter did not hesitate to express his own ambitions. I am very envious that the boy has higher talent than I do, but on the other hand, I also want to see how far the power of a supreme mage can reach. This demeanor shocked Akeno to the point of nearly standing up. The Count saw him so agitated he calmly analyzed, humans are too weak. Perhaps we have built a great civilization, but that is only from our perspective. Compared to dragons and high elves, human magic is extremely weak. Speaking at length, Count Layton pointed at Akeno, bluntly commenting, at least thanks to warriors like you, humans can now live freely. Pausing for a moment, he posed a very thought-provoking question. But what if a level 9 mage is born? Witnessing that serious demeanor, Akeno swallowed hard. Count Lee Hitter then declared even dragons masters of magic would not be able to underestimate that boy. The Count no longer displayed that mad demeanor he sincerely shared. I also long for humans to become the masters of the world. Hearing these words, Akeno made a brief remark, that's arrogance. In response to these comments, Count Lee Hitter did not care at all. Arrogance is fine, you know part of history is forgotten. And erased. This phrase was mentioned. Akeno fell silent, lost in thought. Forgotten history, a secret that only a few people across the continent know. About 10,000 years ago, history disappeared due to a certain incident. Remembering this information, he couldn't help but feel troubled. Because the superior beings refused to share secrets with humans, Count Simon planned to gain power to avoid their control to prevent the disappearance of human civilization. And history repeats itself for unclear reasons. After a moment of silence, Count Lee Hitter gently reminded, you should take a rest, it's quite late. Akeno also did not want to stay long. You should rest too, Count. See you tomorrow. Leaving the office, he went to his son's room, wondering if his son was as talented as he hoped. Seeing the boy sleeping soundly on the bed, Akeno was proud to be the parent of a child with extraordinary talent. I'm very worried. Observing Jamie, he remarked to himself, the boy is just a beloved and adorable son. After watching for a while, Akeno clenched his fist, determination rising in his heart. Jamie, your father will do his best, so you just need to be an ordinary person. A new day arrived. Jamie sat in the banquet hall, bored, staring at the ceiling, wondering what happened last night that troubled his father. I can't control my mind just out of curiosity. Well, my current abilities can't handle it either. While he was still lost in thought, Ash suddenly appeared and called out loudly, Jamie! Seeing who had appeared, Jamie showed his displeasure. I thought we finished talking about this yesterday. I have nothing to do with you. Ignoring his hatred, Ash remained cheerful. But I do. With that, she turned around and called out loudly, Sister! Hearing this call, Jamie's face darkened as he sought a way to escape. What, she's bringing more people along? With that thought, he quickly stood up to sneak away. I'm out of here, I'm not trying to befriend you. And seeing Jamie about to sneak away, Ash shouted loudly to stop him. Where are you going? At least you should introduce yourself, because our families are very close. Just then a gentle voice rang out. Being so mean is rude. From afar, the eldest daughter of the Valor family, Rebecca, came over looking worried at her younger sister. You should use honorifics. How can you speak like that to the Count's son? Seeing who had just arrived, Jamie's eyes widened in shock. Meanwhile, Ash was being playful with her sister. But Jamie told me to speak freely. Ash, when her gaze met Rebecca's, stood frozen, ignoring Ash's teasing behind her. Why, what's this? Are you crushing on my sister? Wow, my sister is very beautiful. The more Jamie looked, the less he could believe his eyes. Why are you here? Remembering this name, he suddenly recalled the memories he had experienced. The woman I loved all my life but was sacrificed to the gods for her benefit. That is why Diablo Volpi became a soulless monster. Returning to the present, Jamie suddenly felt a doubt about life. But I didn't expect you would appear before me looking younger. Just when everything was getting sticky, another person appeared, breaking that scene. Aleph looking sinister, holding a strange object in his hand. "There you are, James Welton." Gripping that ball tightly, he secretly declared, "You're dead." Seeing the appearance of the newcomer, Jamie was stunned, his gaze frozen in place. So that strange name just spoken made Rebecca standing there a bit sticky. Yes? While the atmosphere between the two was turning strange, Ashton was in the middle, completely confused. What the heck, did he really get knocked down by his sister's love? As the two were gazing at each other with intense affection, he suddenly appeared wearing a wicked smile. There you are. Thinking of the bright future ahead, his eyes sparkled with hatred. "From now on, with all my might," and summoned a massive flame. Following that, he declared, "You will call me master." Everything happens too quickly, leaving both Jamie and Rebecca dumbfounded. Just when they regained their composure, Rebecca was frightened by the scene in front of her and quickly ran forward. Az had barely taken a few steps when a familiar voice rang out with a command, "Don't get involved." Following that, the fire from before was extinguished in the startled gaze of Anne. No way, remembering some information about the item he had used, he could not accept the reality. "Phoenix Feather is a level 6 fire magic created by my father. It is not something a mere brat could block." While he was still dazed, Rebecca had run over to hug her sister tightly in relief. He recalled that information and began to feel doubtful about life. How? At the same time, Jamie was looking at the person in front of him with an expression full of indifference, unable to accept what he had just done. He reached out, exerting all his strength. Before he could do anything, a hand reached out, blocking Jamie's view. "Jamie, that's enough." He felt the familiar presence. "Father!" He was stunned, seeing Jamie calm down a bit. Akeno softly reassured, "It's me, it's okay." Hearing these comforting words, he said nothing more. His eyes also gradually blurred. Seeing this, Akeno looked at the two sisters still hugging each other in front, reaffirming once more, "Everyone is fine." Only then did Jamie feel completely at ease, closing his eyes. Akeno then held his child in his arms, facing Count Lee Hitter. He was then horrified to see the son lying still in his arms. Jamie really has... At first he thought he had seen wrong. Thinking of this, Akeno recalled the scene he had seen when he first entered the banquet hall. The first thing that struck his eyes was Elf being enveloped in a surge of power halfway. But that couldn't be a mistake. If I hadn't stopped that boy in time, he would definitely be dead. Not only was Akeno shocked, but Lee Hitter also had the same reaction. "That's terrifying." He began to remember what had happened and speculated. Perhaps it was because the boy's power is weak and not even half of mine. But if that weapon is activated, then everyone here will be burned to dust. However, as he analyzed further, Lee Hitter couldn't hide the sinister smile on his lips. But to realize it in just a second, level 9 is really formidable. That child can really fulfill my long-held dream. While he was immersed in his thoughts, a panicked voice rang out, "My love." Lady Simon had appeared at some point, hugging ALF and directly yelling at the two Welton fathers, "That brat tried to kill my son? How can you just stand there like that?" Suddenly being scolded like that, Sias couldn't take it anymore and exposed her. To be accurate, the one trying to attack someone else is right there. Afraid the other would continue to argue, she pointed at the broken badge in the distance, recounting the whole story. "You are the one who initiated the aggression and used that weapon to attack Jamie." Sias then approached Lady Simon, asking a question that made her freeze. "Isn't that right?" Lady Simon had no retort. Lady Simon pulled out a familiar template. "He's still young." Facing this reasoning, Sias frowned, her voice deepening. "Young. Keep going." Not seeing her mumble anything, she angrily shouted, "Didn't I tell you to continue what you were saying?" Lady Simon saw that the situation was not good. Akeno rushed to reassure his wife. "That's enough, dear." However, Sias still did not give up and bluntly declared, "Let me clearly reveal what your precious son has done." These words caused Lady Simon to endure the judgmental gazes of everyone in the room. "Someone help, this situation is unacceptable." She sought help from the Count. "My love." After that, when thinking of something, Lady Simon couldn't hide her joy. That's right, he might be a bit cold, but he would still stand by his son. However, the Count's words that followed were like a bucket of cold water. "It seems our son behaved rudely on such a fine day, doesn't it?" Hearing these words, Lady Simon was horrified, unable to believe her ears. Not stopping there, Count Leighton also took the blame on himself. "I sincerely apologize, Lady Welton." Right after that statement, the entire hall fell into silence. After thinking for a moment, Sias decided not to pursue the matter anymore. "Surprised, huh? I can't continue to be angry when he has apologized like that. Thank you for that sincere apology. Now I will take my leave." Seeing that she was no longer angry, he turned to suggest, "Akeno, all right. You should go inside and rest." Welton Akeno also did not think much and immediately complied. "All right." After Akeno led his wife and children away, Count Lee Hitter loudly declared, I sincerely apologize for ruining this party. I hope you all will go home and rest well. On that note, the party ended here. Everyone quickly turned to leave upon hearing that. When everyone had left, Lady Simon trembled as she looked at her husband. My love, how could you do that? The more she thought about it, the more unwilling she became, shouting, It's our son. The Lady Simon no longer cared about anything else and yelled at the top of her lungs, Our son had to endure in the arms of that brat. Not letting her have the chance to mumble anything more, Count Lee Hitter scolded her, Shut up. He successfully silenced his wife. There are many eyes here. First go back to your place. This order left Lady Simon stunned. He, after everyone had left in Lee Hitter's office, shouted, How can you treat him like that? He is our son. Even if it was the boy's fault first, you should still stand by him. Not caring about what his wife said, he asked, Eilif, kneeling on the floor, are you trying to get my attention? He had not heard the boy speak for a long time. Count Lee Hitter irritably shouted, Speak up! He scolded a few more times. Don't you know that your actions have embarrassed me in front of the nobles, officials, and the entire kingdom? Under that pressure, Anjun trembled in fear. I'm scared. I'm very scared. Trembling for a while, he looked up at his father. I just wanted your attention. Trembling for a long time, Al finally spoke. That Pang is very rude, so you don't know. Seeing that he finally spoke, Count Lee Hitter asked, Who in this world gave you the phoenix feather? Faced with that question, Aelf stammered and couldn't say anything. I see you're still hesitating. He raised his voice to ask again. I don't want to repeat myself. I ask you one last time who gave it to you. Asked too many times, he had to suppress his fear and name a name, Reno. Reno gave it to me. After a while, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Did you call for me, father? He then walked inside, annoyedly clicking his tongue at ALF, who was kneeling in fear on one side. What a pathetic sight. I serve the food right up to your mouth and you still won't eat. So hopelessly stupid. Not believing he was his brother, observing for a while an evil plan hatched in his mind. Now I have to act innocent. Oh, did you call for me? So not beating around the bush? Count Lee Hitter asked directly, Did you give your brother the phoenix feather? Surprisingly, Lenong immediately admitted without hesitation, yes. And seeing him honestly admit, he asked further, Why did you give him something so dangerous? In response to that question, Lenong expressed his concern. There was a brat bullying him as a younger brother. I couldn't just sit and watch, so I didn't want him to suffer. However, Count Lee Hitter immediately exposed the implication behind it, leaving him stunned. You just wanted to take advantage of your brother. Completely exposed, he couldn't hide his fear. What to do? Witnessing his brother's face turn pale with fear, Elf also realized. Lenong had not heard his two sons say anything. Count Lee Hitter no longer beat around the bush, bluntly declaring, Both of you realize this, but I have no interest in you two. Pausing for a moment, he spoke up to pose a question. Do you two know why? Before the two could eat, Lenong had time to respond. Even though you two are of my bloodline, neither of you are as talented as I expected. However, that does not mean I do not know what you two think. It seemed it was supposed to end here, but he stabbed a few more knives into the hearts of the two boys. If you want to gain my attention instead of wasting time doing childish things, prove that you are worthy of my bloodline. Everything that needed to be said had been conveyed. Count Lee Hitter gave a few more instructions before leaving. I will not hinder what you two do anymore, but you both must clean up the mess you caused. Pausing for a moment, he ordered his two sons to apologize to Jamie Welton as soon as the sun rises, until he forgives you. After saying that, Count Lee Hitter left bluntly, leaving the two sons bewildered. ALF, when he could calm down, couldn't help but show his displeasure. Just thinking about him gives me the chills. Unable to figure it out, he sought Lenong. Are you going to apologize to him? Asked like that, Lenong remained stunned, saying nothing. This strange state made unconfused. What's wrong with you? Are you so scared that you can't say anything? Why isn't he speaking? Ignoring her brother's words, Lenong only recalled Count Lee Hitter's words, displaying an extremely delighted demeanor. Prove that you are worthy of my bloodline. I will show you. I will prove my worth. Meanwhile, Sayas was very worried, standing by the bed, watching her son looking very sound asleep. She felt even more heartbroken. Jamie recalled what he had witnessed, and Sayas couldn't help but be confused. Jamie's desire to end Aleph is real. What could make a 9-year-old child think like that? I thought it was just a normal fight. The scene of Alfred cruelly holding the ball and the fire erupting flashed in her mind. Has the artifact been activated correctly? Remembering that moment, Sayas clenched her fist in anger. I can't forgive him. Even though Count Simon has apologized, I need a more sincere apology. Even if I have to return to my family. While she was lost in thought, Jamie's groaning voice made Sayas awaken. Looking at the boy wrapped in a blanket, she suddenly felt conflicted, recalling the earlier moment. What am I thinking? Just then, Akeno appeared, gently asking about his wife. Are you okay? Seeing that Akeno had come, Sayas was surprised. Akeno, faced with that question, she avoided answering. After pondering for a moment, Sias leaned into her husband's arms, asking back, "How could I not be okay?" Although Sias said that Akeno was sensitive enough to realize. "Do you want me to do something? I will fulfill all your wishes." Witnessing her husband's eagerness, Sias smiled lightly. "You stopped me before saying that?" Akeno explained the reason for his actions. "I was afraid you would ruin your mood," and Akeno explains that much. Sias could only honestly say what she thought. Count Simon has politely apologized. "I don't want to divide the northern nobles into two factions over this matter." Thinking of something, she felt even more satisfied. That brat has been scolded. Hearing these words, Akeno could only smile lightly, joining in. That brat was very scared. With those words, Sias smiled. "I'm all right." After that, the two looked at the pile of blankets on the bed and wondered, "Should we go outside? But you won't be able to relax if we stay here. Let's do that." When the two finally left, Jamie stirred a moment later. He peered out from under the blanket, recalling what his parents had said. "I understand my parents' worries. I couldn't control myself at that time." However, after tossing and turning for a while, Jamie quickly sat up, thinking of something. He closed his eyes and groaned. It seems she has also been reincarnated. As this idea emerged, Jamie fell into contemplation. That's not surprising. I also reincarnated 100 years ago. Her reincarnation is inevitable. However, she does not recognize me. She has no memories of her past life. Even if I am not satisfied with this, I still have to hypnotize myself. It's normal. I am an exception. Even so, just thinking that Duyen has reincarnated at the same time as me. Is this a joke of fate or someone's plan? As this thought emerged, countless questions sprang up in Jamie's mind. What if this is the plan of the 12 gods? While he was still lost in thought, Black suddenly appeared, crashing into his face. Hearing what Black conveyed, Jamie accepted the reality. If they find out that I have reincarnated, they will not let me be. What am I thinking? After panicking for a while, he finally calmed down and his mood also sank. When recalling the girl from yesterday, the image of the girl he loved lying in a pool of blood was vividly clear in his mind. Jamie remembered that scene, unable to hide his sorrow. After pondering for a while, Jamie finally calmed down and made a decision for himself. First, I should meet her again. And thus the gears of fate began to turn. In another corner, a mysterious man in a cloak was attaching something to the phoenix. The world of mages is changing again. The thing the man tied to the phoenix was a notice. The eldest son of the Welton family, Jamie Welton. He is 9 years old, probably a level 4 mage, a magical genius. An absurd talent had emerged, all set to go. He released the phoenix to fly away, ending a very chaotic day. The next day, Jamie took time to stroll through the forest, approaching the riverbank. He relaxed, enjoying the cool breeze. Just then, Black was sitting on Jamie's shoulder, making some sounds, expressing his delight. Witnessing this reaction, he pondered, confirming once again, "You can feel the fresh air, right?" But being asked like that, it complained loudly. At this point, he stopped teasing. "All right, okay. No more teasing, Breck." Jamie thoroughly enjoyed the current scenery. It was so fresh and quiet. It must be because everyone left since yesterday was the last day. Breck on his shoulder completely agreed with this opinion. After wandering around for a while, he decided to turn around and leave. "I have to meet her before I go back." Having not taken a few steps, Jamie sensed a strange magical power, so he had to stop, feeling something unusual. "What sound is that?" Peeking to one side, saw nothing. Jamie looked to the other side, peeking and speculating where it came from. Peeking around for a while, he saw nothing. He clasped his hands together, channeling his own power. "Cannot see. I will release my mana." Saying and doing, a surge of green power slithered everywhere. Very quickly, Jamie found the source of that thing and quickly chased after it. That is, after running like mad for a while, he encountered a familiar figure playing with a water spirit. All of Jamie's attention then focused on the water spirit. Playing for a while, suddenly the water spirit noticed him and was startled. This strange state made Rebecca confused. She quickly turned her head to observe, and right in her eyes was the familiar figure of Jamie. Seeing who had come, she quickly stood up, bowed her head, and greeted, "Duke Welton, are you well?" Suddenly seeing her so polite, Jamie was a bit surprised. "I'm fine." After a brief greeting, he couldn't hide his panic. "But what is your name?" Witnessing this demeanor, Rebecca smiled lightly. She then reintroduced herself. "I am Rebecca." And surprisingly, Rebecca was indeed a water elementalist. Hearing this name, Jamie fell silent, carefully observing the person in front of him. Observing for a long time, he couldn't hide his sorrow, wondering, "How come both of you are water elementalists?" When this question left Rebecca puzzled. Just then a familiar voice echoed in Jamie's head, "Diablo, don't forget me." While he was still dazed, she spoke, "Duke Welton." Suddenly being called by name, he woke up. After a moment, Rebecca stammered and asked, "Why do you look so sad?" Jamie still didn't answer when recalling the previous words, the phrase, "Don't forget me, Diablo." It was a promise from a past life. Rebecca saw Jamie standing frozen in front of her, unable to comprehend. "Why are you making a face like you're at a funeral?" Being asked like that, he remained silent, unable to say anything. Not receiving any response, Rebecca bit her lip, guessing perhaps he is still in shock from yesterday's events. Thinking of this, she gently approached him. It seemed Rebecca only intended to offer simple consolation. But no, she directly hugged Jamie, gently patting his back to comfort him. "Everything will be all right." Suddenly being hugged, he once again fell into a state of daze. This feeling is just the remnant of the past. Dazed for a moment, Jamie decided to enjoy this peaceful moment. But enjoying it a little longer wouldn't hurt. After a while of settling down, the two finally could sit down and talk. "Do you feel better?" "Yes, thank you." Receiving his reply, Rebecca smiled brightly with satisfaction. "My father taught me that difficulties will pass quickly if you share the burden with others." Hearing this, Jamie couldn't hide his curiosity. "From the Bali family, I see you seem a bit confused." Rebecca smiled brightly, affirming, "That's right." After that, thinking of something, she couldn't hide her excitement. "Yesterday I couldn't continue talking with you, which made me very sad, so I'm glad we have this private time today." In the face of that excitement, Jamie responded with a smile. "Coincidentally, I feel the same way." And this statement made Rebecca smile even more brightly. "Really?" To that question, he confidently replied, "Yes." Carefully observing the person who was talking to him, Jamie accepted the reality. She is a different person. Perhaps it would be better to let myself flow with the current of life. He then turned to ask a question he had long wondered. "I've heard that the Bali family has a tradition of making pacts with the air element, isn't it?" This question made Rebecca a bit embarrassed, but she could only admit, I also wanted to make a pact with the air element but failed." For a moment, she began to recount what had happened. "The air elements once visited me because I had a strong connection with them, but they refused to make a pact and left. After that meeting, it seemed everything would stop there, but then an event occurred that left Rebecca confused. Then one day a water goddess came and said that it was my destiny that I had to make a pact with them. Though all of this happened, recalling it, she still felt awkward. It was an important decision, and I should have discussed it with my father first, but ended up making the pact right then and there." Hearing this story, Jamie thought of something. The King of Elements must know. Thinking of this, he recalled some information he knew. A pact with the King of Elements, a pact made with the King of Elements, is unlike any other elemental pact. It is a soul pact imposed on the lives of both parties. Recalling that information, Jamie speculated, "The moment Duyen's soul reincarnated as Rebecca, the King of Elements must have taken notice." I snapped out of my thoughts. He inquired, "I understand now. Did the Lord scold her for that?" Being asked like that, she honestly replied, "The person is not angry but seems a bit disappointed." "I feel that way too." Seeing an uncertain, hesitant Rebecca in front of him, Jamie asserted, "However, that's something truly special." This statement surprised her, but he didn't stop there and continued, "An element approaching someone and proposing a contract. I've never heard of such a thing happening before." Rambling on for a while, Jamie smiled brightly, reassuring, "It's quite unfortunate that wasn't the element you wanted, but you were chosen by the water element itself. Believe in yourself." These words left Rebecca confused, unable to comprehend anything. After a moment of confusion, once she calmed down, she smiled brightly, expressing her gratitude. "Thank you." Immediately after that statement, Jamie quickly got up, waved goodbye to Rebecca. "Thank you for today. I have to go now." He finished speaking, and before she could fully comprehend, he had already run off. "Goodbye." Watching Jamie's figure gradually fade away, Rebecca felt a sense of reluctance. "I want to talk more." As soon as this thought appeared, she couldn't help but shyly lower her head. "Why do I feel this way?" At that moment, while Jamie was walking, he suddenly remembered something. In response to those words, Breck didn't quite understand. It seemed like we were being too polite. Kids usually don't talk like that, do they? But personally, I think Rebecca seems more mature, so it's hard to converse with her like a child. Hearing it keep making noise, he irritably shouted, "Does that make Breck not understand anything? Why do you keep arguing like that?" Leaving the garden, Jamie stuffed his hands in his pockets and strolled casually around the mansion. As he was strolling, suddenly a loud voice called his name. "Hey, Jamie Welton." Suddenly being called Jamie, quickly turned around. It turned out there were two familiar red heads standing behind him. Seeing those two heads, Jamie visibly frowned. What's going on? In light of this attitude, ALF felt a bit awkward, but the thing is... Hesitating for a long while, he gathered all his courage and shouted, "I'm sorry." This apologetic attitude made Jamie feel quite strange. Why suddenly? But after a moment of reflection, he quickly understood everything. The Count made you go apologize, didn't he? Exposed Alf blushed and couldn't argue back. I've teased Alf enough. Jamie then turned his attention to Lenong standing next to him. I understand, but what's this guy doing here? Being asked like that, he tried to suppress his embarrassment and introduced, this is my older brother. Not caring about those side details, he asked directly, so why did you bring him along? Don't tell me you're too scared to apologize alone. In response to those teasing remarks, Lenong quickly spoke up, revealing a shocking piece of information. Oh, I'm the one who brought the treasure to my younger brother. This information successfully ignited the anger within Jamie. When he could process all that information, he angrily asked for confirmation. So you two teamed up to mess with me. What's your name? Seeing this attitude, Beck panicked, trying to reassure. Forget about that attitude like you want to eat me alive. Lenong smiled brightly, introducing Lenong Simon. As soon as this name was mentioned, Jamie's eyes brightened quickly. He could see the streams of power surrounding Lenong. His talent is quite impressive, and his rank is also different. And he seems quite cunning too. Thinking about this, Jamie stepped in front of him for a closer inspection. Count Simon? Even a child like this wouldn't satisfy him. Seeing him suddenly approach his brother Anf couldn't help but be confused. Yet you still act as if you don't see that scrutinizing gaze and just smile insincerely. Just a reminder, huh? Fortunately, nothing bad happened. You've heard the apology. Can we leave now? This statement once again pushed Jamie into an explosive state. This brat, does he think I'm an idiot? At this moment, he suddenly remembered what happened that night. He wasn't even present during that chaos. Before passing out, Jamie had seen Lenong standing far away looking at him with contempt. This guy must think anyone other than his own father is inferior in his eyes. Seeing that smile, he became furious. If I let this go, surely he will cause even bigger trouble. Thinking of doing, Jamie quickly started mocking the person in front of him, making him furious. It seems like your path to the title of heir is quite difficult, huh? What nonsense are you talking about? Satisfied with this reaction, Jamie turned to taunt Lenong, causing him to jump in shock. Isn't that right? Lenong's reaction amused him, so he moved closer to Lenong. Well, it's none of my business. Demi leaned in closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. Threatening, if you're really the one behind that crime, then you should face the appropriate punishment. Not seeing him react, he quietly asked, not forgetting to showcase a bit of power. Do you think so? This question finally elicited some response from Lenong. What did you say? At that moment, Jamie vanished and he was pushed into a pitch-black space. Breathe, it's so dark, where am I? His body temperature was gradually dropping. It feels like I'm going to freeze to death. Experiencing that feeling for a few minutes, Lenong officially collapsed. At that very moment, a huge eye appeared, accompanied by Jamie's threatening voice. This is your last chance. Immediately after that statement, Lenong was returned to the familiar mansion, but he was still in shock. Crouching on the ground, his eyes filled with fear. Did I escape? No, is it all just an illusion? I'm not sure, but thinking about these things, Lenong couldn't hold it anymore and hugged his head, screaming. This made Anne next to him wonder. Lenong doesn't care about his younger brother. The more he thought, the more terrified he became. After a while, when he could calm down, Lenong cautiously raised his head, observing Jamie. The only thing I know is that this is my last chance. I have to kneel immediately. Thinking of doing so, he stammered, I'm sorry.